Clips.
Alrighty YouTube, another one of Kip's Clips. So a long time no see. I've been away on a holiday for a few days, recharging the batteries and whatnot. Took a break. From reading so much news each day, it's been enjoyable, to be honest. A wee bit of willful ignorance has been refreshing. Might be busy over the weekend, but looking to get back into it on Monday. Full guns blazing. And I've been away searching this long to find the coolest pair of glasses I've ever seen in my life. A lot of people might disagree, but I think they're cool, so they're getting more anyway. Right, so I wanted to make another video about World War 3 is happening right now in the Mediterranean, in and around the Mediterranean. People might define it as the build up to World War 3. That's fair enough. I would say it is happening just now. It's beyond the point of no return. I mean, who defines when a war starts? There are people dying in these wars, conflicts. There are people dying. So, for the definition of war, does it have to be... Well, I'll go into that anyway. I'll show you how it's happening in and around the Med. I usually put all the links down below, but we'll have so many of them if I can get them all in 15 minutes. This is a second take, so I went over 15 minutes and I realised I could just cram it in easier and keep it more precise into the fact and my train of thought and thinking. Right, well, the reason I was thinking about this is I heard the news about Gibraltar, right? Now go and check out Gibraltar. It's obviously militarily very important to anybody wanting to cross in between the Med and the Atlantic, whether it be Russia, America, Britain, Iran, China, all the global players, right? And I'll go on to show that is happening. So Gibraltar is very important in controlling what flows through the Straits of Gibraltar. Now, Gibraltar right now is going through a sovereignty row. The UK has just sent naval forces there. Surprise, surprise, because of a sovereignty row. Now, I've got a theory this sovereignty row is just a fart in a spacesuit. It's nothing. It's been put there for an excuse to Britain turn up there with warships and go, we're here because there's a few thousand people want to go to the ballot box. Bullshit. This is here as a military build-up in the Med because... the torch has been, the fuse has been lit. It's not went off yet, but it's about to go boom. Anyway, that's what I think's happening. So I usually leave all the links. Here's the you'll get the links up here so you can pause it and get it right. But just to try and give you a lot of all the news that I've read looking up in this to try and get a better idea, to try and let people understand how I come to my conclusions, nobody else's conclusions. Do you know what I mean? And everybody should do this. Look at 1,000,001 sources and come to your own conclusions. This is why I think World War 3 is happening right now. So Gibraltar, you've got that kicking off. Gibraltar, as it happened, British sails inward for games. So war games now. More of these war games that seem to be happening between Russia, China, big nations. Right, well, in fact, let me get straight to this as well. War, definition of war, a state of armed conflict, right? So that's where you could have the debate between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state. Right, what's the definition of world war? Right, so because before I was saying this, I actually do look up the definitions of the words that I'm speaking. It makes sense sometimes. A war involving many large nations in all different parts of the world. So it doesn't need to be in... Anyway, well, it's self-explanatory. The name is commonly given to wars of, well, 1 and 2, right? So you could say right now, overview of what's happening right now in the Med. Russia and their allies, but they're a pretty big country, look at the size of them. Russia and their allies at war with the US/NATO forces inside Syria. I don't care what anybody says, that's in reality what's happening. They might have a few brown people, a good few thousand brown people on the ground brainwashed into fighting for them, but that is who is fighting, that is who's pulling the strings. There's been reports, whether they're genuine or not, of SAS, French Special Forces and US Special Forces, and I know the CIA, there's confirmed reports of the CIA facilitating all the movement of the rebels from Turkey, and I've heard of them in Jordan as well recently. Okay, so there's Russia, China, UK and France. No, not Russia and China, sorry. Russia, UK, US and France. 4 large nations, all people dying, armed conflict inside Syria, right? That is the definition of war, at least, right? Definition of war, so it's definitely a war, right? A state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within it. So it's a war. So you can dress it up as a civil war, which it ain't. It's a war between bigger groups outside of Syria. It's just unfortunately that Syria's ended up being the battleground, the excuse for it all. Egypt, right? Now, I've put out theory there. Inside Egypt, the Chinese could possibly be involved. Russians could be involved. Israelis are definitely involved. They have, in fact, I've changed my mind a little bit, but I've came round to thinking that Israel were probably more involved there than I first gave them credit for, due to the fact it's their back garden. They have a bigger dog in the fight inside Egypt. They more or less need to control this the Sinai, and that's why you'll see that place burning. And recently, that's why you've seen it burning, and you'll see it continue to burn. If you can't control them or defeat them, just get them perpetuate state of conflict. Because Egypt can't have, they need to control their southern border. They can't have aggressive Egyptian forces up on their southern border. It'd make life a lot more harder for them. Right, so maybe that's China in the mix. So you've got China, Russia, US, UK, France, all involved in and around that conflict there. In fact, sorry, you've got Turkey politically involved, not militarily. In fact, militarily they are. They've got Patriot missiles on their border of Syria. So militarily they are involved. Are Turkey a big nation? Right, now Turkey, they're in Asia and Europe. Syria, they're in the Middle East. Egypt is in Africa. Right, so there could be argued there's 3 continents. Armed conflict between 5 large nations. Right, people dying, armed conflict. Right, and this is me just talking about this wee peninsula, this wee bit of the Mediterranean here. Right, so let's have a look at the definition of world war. A war involving many large nations, confirmed, right, for me, fucking 1,000,000%, in all different parts of the world. Europe, right, well, Turkey are involved, right. So technically, the fighting isn't happening inside Turkey yet, right, so, but the fighting's happening in the Middle East and Africa. Right, so there's 2 continents, right? There's definitely fighting, in my eyes, happening between global nations. Boom! Let's go to another neck of the woods and see where if you strip away the bullshit, and if I can get my geography right, see, because you do that and you always mucks up your there we go. Right, so South Korea, right? USA, Japan, USA, right? Strip away the bullshit, that's who fucking pulls their strings. North Korea, China to a certain extent, Russia to a certain extent, that's who. China give them all their food basically, and Russia a lot of their age technology. Right, so there you have Russia and China against the USA there. In Korea, as well as, now Jesus, I've not looked at this part, as well as in the wee islands in and around, I think it's that bit there, the wee islands there that they're disputing right now as well. Right, India, who's, alright, well, so there's 3 continents, there's 3 continents, right, that, okay, granted there's only 2 that there's armed conflicts. Let me think of a 3rd continent where there's definitely armed, I would say there's definitely armed conflict going on between 2. Chechnya, no, you wouldn't say that's a different continent. Africa. Well, aye, right, well, you strip away the bullshit. Jesus, this has went on for too long as well. But if you strip away the bullshit, right, there's South Africa. South Africa. Jesus, my geography's a bit better at that. South America. Now, in my opinion, there's been an armed conflict with people dying, right, which would make it a war between different groups in Colombia, and I would say it's down to the drugs war, and who backs the drugs war? The CIA, and who are the CIA? The CIA are American influence, right? So there you go. Whether you want, well, the CIA can't be involved in war. There's people dying because of the CIA in, well, fucking everywhere, lots of countries, right? So look at definitions. Definition of war. Definitely wars going on all around the world, right? There's people dying between armed conflicts, right? Armed conflicts, two people with guns. Want to cut drug. Anyway, and World War. How many nations there? And think of the amount of nations now that are getting pulled into this this conflict. Brazil through the BRICS. That's creating tension. You've got Argentina and the Falklands. You've got Ecuador. You've got Colombia. You've got Bolivia. I need to explain what's recently happened to them. You all know what's going on there. You've got the drug war inside Mexico. Canada has, I need to admit, went pretty quiet. There's probably some polar bears telling each other in Greenland. But that's why I think World War 3 is happening right now. I mean, do people really need the BBC to come up and tell you? When are people going to accept World War 3 is happening? People dying in armed conflicts between nation states, even if you, right, granted, right, the definition needs updated because it should be different. The definition now should be updated to World War. What's the definition? A war involving many large corporation nations, corporate fascist nations, because they're not even really nations, they're just corporations with tentacles of influence that have gobbled up things that used to be called countries and nations. Because countries and nations don't exist anymore. They only exist by name, by nothing else. Nothing else. Fucking, is there a country in the world where you can't buy a pair of Nikes? I don't think so. Anyway, right, so I've managed to get that into 15 minutes, so now I'm going to show you all the links that I've got to get me here. Here's Gibraltar. All the information about Gibraltar. It's fascinating. Back in 1492 it was the last place to be a Muslim colony. There was a declaration Spain made. There's the Gibraltar Constitution. This is just all the stuff I've been looking at. It's not a part of Britain, it's a British overseas territory. There's information if you want to check that out. An Anglo-Dutch force, I don't know if you know this, that is called the House of Rothschild, 1704, captured Gibraltar from Spain and never gave it back. Okay, had Gibraltar, then you've got Egypt. There's a antiwar.com backing up saying about the Suez Canal, that's what it's all about for America. Then you've got materials implicating the Syrian government, well, that's going in and around the Med as well. Then you've got Egypt army seeks to secure ties with US. Israeli analysts, trust them as you will. Oh Jesus, I didn't even talk about this. Look at the the gas field, the Leviathan gas field, 122 trillion cubic feet of recoverable gas. Alright, YouTube back. Now I can edit together a wee bit better. I can go over the 15-minute bullcrap allowance, so I can get more time to talk about. Well, obviously you have Russian submarines in the Mediterranean as well. That was and a full-on task force. This was 2010, I believe. This was found 2010. Yeah, the Leviathan Basin gas and oil fields. Now look at that. Look at the disputed border. Look how diagonal it is. But anyway, I think that's funny. But obviously, because there's so much gas in this area. Look at the ones close to Palestine. There's real raging about that. Then look at the one next to Cyprus. I didn't even mention what was happening in the basin. I forgot to say that. Cyprus, well, we've seen what happened there about the banks. Greece, we've seen what happened there. There were people dying there, whether they wanted to call it armed conflict or not. There was one side that was armed, it was called the government. The other side wasn't armed, but they killed people. People died, and was probably still dying in the ongoing economic disaster that is Greece. Italy as well. France has relatively stayed okay. And then you've got Spain. I was just talking about that being brought into the mix with Gibraltar, but they've had a lot of civil unrest and economic disaster. So every country that touches the basin of the Mediterranean Sea is a disaster zone right now. Every single one of them. So I just wanted to point that out. And then they talk about the north-south divide of Europe. And I think it's more because these countries are next to the Mediterranean, and that's where all the shit's going to kick off. So there's a lot of influence to be won in those countries. And I think I was just wrapping up with go and check out the Leviathan gas fields. More to a clue why this is happening in this area. I talked about the definition of world war and the definition of war, and put my argument forward why I think World War 5 is happening just now. My opinion, there's 5 nations at each other's throat in the sense of armed conflict, and it could be argued 3 continents in the world. Now you've got Morocco. I mean, touching on Morocco because it's obviously touching on the basin, and it's very important. It's the opposite side of the Strait of Gibraltar. Where was I? Just talking a wee bit about Morocco. Again, all the links are up the top there, because I obviously could not. There's Morocco from the Foreign Office advice telling you there's a threat of terrorism in Morocco. Morocco takes down Al Qaeda cell, and why Al Qaeda doesn't like Morocco. So you can tell that there's people. Oh, this is a good slide window, whatever you like to call it. Right, just look at this. Right, US warships in the Med. Right, you've got Britain to send Navy warships to Mediterranean and show of force to Spain. Is it to Spain, no, or is it not to Russia? Russia sending permanent warship fleet to Mediterranean. Chinese destroyer enters Mediterranean via Suez, Egypt. After Beijing sends a frigate to the Med, the leading author poses a chilling question: how long until Chinese aircraft carrier sails up the Thames? Iran warships enters Iran. See all the players here that are poking at each other. War games. Iran warships enter Mediterranean as tensions with Israel grow. Russian warships enter Med to form permanent task force. Iran to deploy warships to Mediterranean Sea. And look at all the different sources these things are coming from. And this is happening all around the world. Everybody's getting primed for this. Everybody's getting told, watch the Med. It's brainwashing in a mass scale. I think that's the point I'm trying to show by showing so many articles. Iran warships in the Suez. Here's Israel. Iranian warships in Med are serious provocation. That was at 2011, I believe. And Russian Navy sending its. I mean, I found so much. What was the interesting? Oh well, that's the US Air Force base in the Meds in Italy. And there's their base, oh, right next to the Straits of Hormuz. The Straits of Gibraltar. Just having a mind fart there. So that's me showed it all, went through it all, man. It's lasted a wee bit longer than usual. Put a wee bit of crap in the funny. I'm going to put a wee bit of stuff at the beginning for a wee bit of shits and giggles. So that's my argument for why I think World War III is happening just now. If you look at the definition of World War, the definition of war, then cut through the bullshit and what's happening right now. That's what I think's happening. Alrighty, YouTube, so good to be back. Hopefully I'll be back full guns blazing on Monday. So thumbs it up, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus if you're glad I brought the information to your attention. Subscribe to my channel down below to keep up to date with the latest news and updates. Check out Facebook and Twitter links, that's a good way to keep in touch if they shut down this channel again. And check out the radio link below as well, that will take you to the show, which is now on every Saturday on Unbound Radio. And leave all your comments below, good, bad, ugly and indifferent, they're all welcome as normal. Let me know what you think. Am I strengthening my argument why I believe World War III is happening right now? I mean, why do people need to wait for the BBC to declare it or Tony Blair to declare it? They're going to it's like waiting for these economists to declare the economy's fucked. They don't do it. They all know the economy's fucked, but they stand up there and go, oh, the economy's great, like growth of .0.0000000%, right? They stand up there and lie to you till they can't even lie anymore, and then everybody's fucked, right? So I'm saying to you, they're lying to you again. World War III is happening. They know it's happening, but they're going to deny it to the last possible second, and then everybody's fucked. So prepare. Alright, YouTube, man, good to be back. Thanks for watching. Catchies.